Hello everyone. Now, obviously, I'm in a different setting again. I'm in my computer setting where I react to things, because basically the other day, I made a video where I reacted and responded to Colleen Ballinger's latest apology, response, and basically what I want to do here today is kind of like a part 2, because I didn't actually finish the entire podcast. I missed out the last 15 minutes, and I've had a lot of people say to me, Fraser, you need to go and watch this 15 minutes. There's a lot of stuff in it that you missed out, and it's a lot of stuff that I think you'd be interested in. There's conversations surrounding Jojo Siwa and just in general where Colleen Ballinger is at right now with life. But before we do that, I also want to speak about how this has gone down. So yeah, in my video originally, basically we just tore this thing apart. This was one of the worst apologies I think I've personally ever seen, and the fact that the title has changed is obviously like not a good sign, you know. When a title has changed on YouTube, it's either for algorithmic reasons or you're getting cooked. And yeah, as you can see, the original title is Exclusive Colleen Ballinger's Actual Apology, and then now it's exclusive Colleen Ballinger tells her side. And yeah, obviously this is because this apology, well, it wasn't an apology. As we went through in my video, it was just one of the worst and weirdest responses I think I've ever seen. I highly recommend watching my first video before watching this one, because you'll see the true extent of just how bad this was. I was genuinely dumbfounded, and I do not use the word dumbfounded often, at how weird and bizarre this was. The two hosts on the podcast were basically on her side for the majority of it. There was an occasional combative response, but overall, it was just a really, really bizarre thing. And yeah, obviously, not an apology, and now it's Colleen's telling her side, which she definitely is telling her side in this. That is definitely a way to put it, because it's not an apology. The only time she ever says sorry, she goes, I'm sorry, and it looks like she's about to get into something, and then it just cuts. It cuts, and she carries on in this defensive format of where she's trying to recontextualize the situation. She's trying to make it look a lot better for herself, and yeah, I imagine you've all already watched my video, or other people's video, or Colleen's, well, whatever this is. So yeah, I just wanted to give you, you know, the gist of what was happening there if you haven't watched anything to do with this. But also, what I want to do today, I want to go through the facts, man. I want to go through the facts, because in my video, I was talking about my previous video I'd done in it, which was this one right here. Colleen Ballinger, the horrific truth behind YouTube's worst creep. Now, I uploaded this 2 years ago. Video did 4 million views. That's my most viewed video I think I've ever had. Thank you very much, by the way. And basically, I want to kind of skip through, after we get through the first 15 minutes, I want to skip through this, because especially this part here where it goes through the original situation involving Adam Mcintyre. So yes, I'm going to be reacting to myself, who is also giving reactions to Adam Mcintyre, who's given reactions to Colleen Ballinger. We're getting meta today, people. We're getting very, very meta. And then, yeah, I also want to speak about this, because Colleen Ballinger, I forgot to mention, in 2020, she did somewhat address the situation. Now, this is a video which was... It was a mix of addressals on multiple things. A lot of criticism directed towards her Miranda Sings character and how she, you know, did the character in certain ways. And then I also want to briefly take a look at this, which, to be fair, most of it does come in my video, but that's all going to come after this. I just wanted to explain why we're here. But firstly, I mentioned this video that Colleen uploaded recently called Live Reaction to Taylor Swift's new album. And yeah, as you can see, I was searching for the word cancelled, because I have been told, and I remember seeing the clip, but I can't remember, that she basically compares herself to Taylor Swift, saying that the song that Taylor Swift made was about her. And I don't know. Maybe she's joking, maybe she's not. Let's just quickly take a look at this.
Okay, that's Bob. It's Bob. It's my favorite song about a wiener. Oh no. Oh no, the next one's canceled. This song's about me. I don't want to hear this one. I'm scared. Okay.
Yes. So then she just reacts to the whole song, and throughout it, she just kind of looks like utterly like devastated at the lyrics. Did you girl busk too close to the sun? And it's like, Taylor, I don't think what you were doing when you were sending your underwear to minors was girl bossing too close to the sun. Either way, I found it very funny when I first saw it. It doesn't actually sound that funny when you first look at it. Now I feel like a bit of a mug. But alas, I just kind of wanted to bring it up because I mentioned it in my original video. But this is messy. This is what this whole format is. I promise you the next video is going to be a well-edited, scripted video. I've heard people say, we prefer this live format. That makes me happy, but also sad, because it's like, spend 20 million hours working on a fully edited, scripted video, and then you make this, where it's just easy. It's nice. I like talking to you guys like this, but it's easy, and I don't know how to respond to these comics. But thank you very much. Please subscribe. And with that, let's get into her talking about JoJo Siwa, and then we'll get into everything else.
Will say that that was an inappropriate friendship for you two to develop.
Talking about JoJo Siwa here, because basically for the context, there is a lot of weird stuff in regards to Colleen Ballinger and JoJo Siwa. Well, I'm on the wrong screen. Basically, JoJo was about 13, 12 years old, around that age of when she was like first getting very successful. She was on Dance Moms, everybody was starting to know her. This was kind of before, well, she was an influencer, don't get me wrong, but not what she is nowadays, you know. This is a long, long time ago, very kid-friendly, very involved with Nickelodeon. And basically, I can't show it in this video because I don't want it to get age restricted. But I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. If you know the Colleen Ballinger story, she was making a lot of inappropriate 18 plus explicit comments, jokes around a 13-year-old JoJo Siwa. It was very, very weird. And I've seen some people, in particular on this video what she uploaded about the Miranda Sings character. And it's interesting to look back on now, where somebody here says, I'm guessing a lot of people don't realize how different our world even was 15 years ago. And in a way, it's kind of true. And I think it kind of worries me that 15 years ago it was like acceptable. Not even 15 years ago. The JoJo Siwa stuff was 9 years ago. But the fact that like even 9 years ago on YouTube, it was acceptable to make like really gross, explicit comments directed towards a young kid like JoJo Siwa when you're a 30-year-old adult. And the same goes for like when Shane Dawson, a lot more clips came out about Shane Dawson in 2020. And a lot of people made the argument of, oh, it was a different time. I don't know if that really justifies it. Like, sure, it can make sense of how it happened back then, but I look back on the people in 2010 to 2016 and get confused by how it was acceptable, and therefore in mind, it's still not acceptable based on these justifications. But either way, sorry, let's get back into this. And by the way, this is going to be messy. It's going to be me chatting, because if I was just to sit here and watch it and say nothing, what would be the point in making this video?
Since she was 11 and you were an adult. What thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look at it as a friendship at first. She was 11.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as a sweet young girl. I loved the show she was on, and she liked my videos and looked up to me, and she wanted to meet me. And to me, I wasn't looking at it as like becoming best friends with her when I met her. It was just a sweet meeting. And then
I'm pretty sure they did a lot of content together, though. I may be wrong in that. If I search it right now, hold on, let me just pull it up. Okay, yeah, as you can see, there is a lot of content. There is Dancing Tutorial, JoJo Siwa and Miranda Sings, Why We're Not Friends Anymore, Miranda Sings, 24 Hours in JoJo Siwa's Merch Room, Slime War with JoJo Siwa, Hilarious Fails of Miranda and JoJo, Destroying JoJo Siwa is Emotional, there's a video of JoJo there, there's another video of JoJo there, there's another video of JoJo there, there's an entire playlist dedicated to JoJo Siwa. Oh my god! There's 29 videos in that playlist, and as you just scroll, there's more and more and more. So let's just listen to that description here.
I wasn't looking at it as like becoming best friends with her when I met her. It was just a sweet meeting. And then she's a hustler. You guys know JoJo? She immediately was like, well, I had a video called Colleen's Corner that I answered questions every week. So she did JoJo's Juice to do the same kind of, she kind of looked at me as like a...
It feels like she's downplaying her connection to JoJo Siwa at the time. You have over 25 videos with this girl. And look, I don't necessarily have find anything wrong in particular with a young person making videos with an adult content creator. That is something that happens in the space. You could say it happens in Hollywood with like actors working with younger actors and stuff like that. Maybe it's different in the terms of the YouTube video setting, but like it's a thing that's happened. And I think we'd be hypocrites if we were to say, oh, I'm completely against the idea of it. I'm sure there are people out there that are completely against it, but for the most part, we've seen, in particular, it's going to be a really bad example, but I say this, in particular in the Minecraft community, oh Jesus, God, we all know what's happened there. But there's been some good examples of like adults in the Minecraft community who have worked with younger content creators. I remember in 2020, again, still not really the best example, but there have been good examples. I promise you, not all Minecrafters are predators, okay? Can't say that word I was about to say, demonetization or age restriction. But either way, yes, there's been a lot of bad people in the Minecraft scene, but there's also been a lot of good people in the Minecraft scene. So I don't necessarily object to this style of content in terms of kids working with adults on YouTube, as long as they're in a protected environment, as long as it is just for content, and as long as parents are there on scene consistently, I'm okay with that. But the difference is this content isn't that. We've seen the videos. Again, I can't play them, but there are some very inappropriate things going on in these videos. And these are, I don't think these, there's 11 videos are hidden here. So she's actually, I believe, removed videos of her and JoJo from her channel. And it's probably because, well, some of those videos were the ones that we picked up and criticized, where she was making a lot of explicit comments when JoJo Siwa was around. And in some cases, just directed at JoJo Siwa. So what we're getting here, in my opinion, is a downplay. I'm sure she's going to go further into her business relationship. That it absolutely is, once again, what she was doing with what I spoke about in my first video, recontextualizing things, trying to downplay things, trying to change the narrative on things, because there is really no defense. And that's kind of why I'm confused by us. And you can see why they've changed the title again here, because this isn't an apology. This is just you making excuses. Even if she goes on to say, I'm sorry about this, it doesn't change anything, because you've made your excuses here, which when somebody says to me, oh, I'm sorry for doing this thing, end it there, bro. End it there. Like, say sorry and move on, and maybe I can accept it. Maybe I can. But don't say, I'm sorry, but there's this reason, there's this reason. Well, you're not sorry then, are you? In any context, if somebody says, I'm sorry, but, usually they're not actually sorry. They're just saying sorry because they were sorry that they were caught and there was consequences that happened. And that's what's happening here. This is a woman who, in my opinion, isn't actually sorry about what happened,
Mentor, someone she looked up to. And, I'm...
Also, why have I got a Tucker Carlson video in my recommended? I think it came up and I clicked on it and was like, what's going on here? Ignore that. I promise you. It's not my usual style of content. I was just staring at it for a second. We've got Tucker Carlson, Harry Potter, H3 members. I'm not even a member. And then we've got the one I have watched as Demon Slayer. What is going on with the recommended section right now? Even in shorts, why have I got Daniel Radcliffe? I don't know. My recommend on YouTube is messed up right now.
I don't want to speak for JoJo, though.
I was just looking at me like, please, guys. I don't watch Tucker Carlson. I don't watch any political videos on YouTube. I don't. I've got better things to be doing in my life.
We were talking about this without her here, but she can say this herself if she wants. But, so over time we became friends because she was such a hustler. She'd want to collaborate. And so we'd get together and make videos together.
Which was also very common for YouTubers and fellow people in the world to want to collaborate.
I just kind of get a feeling about the what she's saying here. Every single time Colleen's like going through her arc, I can't speak English, her arc of where she's like trying to change the narrative, trying to recontextualize things, these two kind of jump in with like not like a defense, but comments which can normalize or make what Colleen's saying more acceptable. These two really confuse me. Like, I think her name Miranda. She has very much been on Colleen's side throughout all of this, in my opinion. Raven has made comments here and there where she's called Colleen crazy, in particular the ukulele apology. She was basically roasting her on that. But even with that, like thinking about it after a few days, roasting Colleen to her face about the ukulele thing, it's very like tame, because I think even Colleen knows that was an absolutely insane thing to do, at least now, And I think like it's like when you're trying to like, I don't know how to describe it. You're trying to make it look like you're criticizing, but you're going for the easiest criticism. When it comes to the conversation surrounding inappropriate discussions with JoJo Siwa, the immediate response to Colleen's defense or excuses is to almost back her excuses by being like, oh, it was a normal thing back then. It was a normal thing back then. And it was like, yes, it's always been a normal thing in the entertainment industry for people to work with children, for adults to work with children. But what's never been a thing that's acceptable in a public scale, it's definitely, behind the scenes, a massive issue in Hollywood. But what's never going to be acceptable in society is inappropriately interacting with those kids, That's never going to be acceptable. And the context we're talking about here with Colleen and JoJo is inappropriate interactions between a grown adult who's almost or may have even been 30 years old and a 13-year-old girl who may have even been younger than 13 at one point, So like, no, this isn't a normal thing what we're describing here. What's normal is, again, I just can't really think of many. Go to the comments and let me know adults who work with kids who have been absolutely fine. You know, like there is examples out there. I was going to say Minecraft, even in Hollywood, for example. I can think of like Jerry Trainer, the guy who plays, I think, Spencer in iCarly. He was very protective of the children. He was always making sure that they were comfortable and stuff like that. There's a lot of good stories there from as far as I know, and that's like an example in Hollywood of a good adult working with kids, and no one has a problem with that because that is a normal example. But what's going on here isn't normal.
And get to know each other, feed off each other's videos.
Right.
So
yes, we.
Again, and even with like the working with Miranda Sings as in the character, when you really think about it, is it exactly appropriate for a 13-year-old to be working with a character who, as we've seen, Colleen has described it as a very explicit character? You don't need to look further than the books that Colleen wrote under the character and guise of Miranda Sings to see that there is a lot of inappropriate content that comes out from the Miranda Sings character, and it does make you think, maybe it isn't normal for a kid to be working with that type of content and that type of character, you know? I would be a bit uncomfortable if I was watching, I don't know, an 18+ show where there is a lot of like explicit things going on and a kid's on set. It would be, I don't know, it just doesn't work in my opinion.
Became friends, but it always felt more like a family thing because I'm a big family person.
So you weren't friends, but now you are friends and now you're family. I don't think things are lining up here.
I love my family. I'm always with my family. We're always hanging out. We're always having family gatherings. And I think that, again, I don't want to speak for her, but, you know, she liked to come over to our family gatherings and hang out with my family where we'd be playing.
Wait, did she not just say that they weren't friends? We're at 4817. Just note that in there. I swear she said that they weren't friends.
what thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, for dinner because JoJo was a fan. And she and another girl from the Dance Mom show wanted to meet me, so I went to dinner with them.
Okay.
Some people will say that that was an inappropriate friendship for you two to develop since she was 11 and you were an adult. What thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look at it as a friendship at first.
She just said, I didn't look at it as a friendship ever. And then a minute later, she is saying this.
Like, I love my family. I'm always with my family. We're always hanging out. We're always having family gatherings. And I think that, again, I don't want to speak for her, but, you know, she liked to come over to our family gatherings and
You weren't friends ever, but she was coming over to your family gatherings.
hang out with my family where we'd be playing
You weren't friends, but this 13-year-old girl was hanging out with your family.
games.
You were not friends, but you were playing games with this 13-year-old girl.
And, you know, eating pizza with
You were not friends, but you were eating pizza with this 13-year-old girl.
my parents, and sometimes her mom and her brother would come, and her dad.
Your entire families were mingling, but you weren't friends.
Like, it was a very
They're a
family.
big family. The Siwas are a big
and,
family.
you know, and my brother and
too.
all his kids were there. So he's got
It's like she's stumbling over her lies so much that even within a minute, she has managed to make such a glaring lie. And by the way, as I mentioned before, I don't even have a problem with necessarily this. If you take away the context of what happened with Miranda Sings, let's just say like she was making videos as Colleen Ballinger with JoJo Siwa, and then they became friends off camera, the family became friends and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with that. I genuinely don't think that that's like a wrong thing to happen if they were working in a business thing and then naturally, because there were families on both sets, they mingled, they realized they really liked each other. That's perfectly fine. That's, if anything, the most normal thing she's even suggested here. But she's managed to lie about it. She's managed to lie about something which didn't need to be lied about here. She said, we were never friends, but now she's saying all of these things. Oh no, we were family. We were doing all these things together. My family met her family. We were eating pizza together. We were playing games together. It's like, why are you still lying to me about this? There is no need to lie about this. And it shows how desperate she is to recontextualize everything, change the narrative and everything, where she's almost willing to sacrifice friendship in order to make us think that everything that was going on there, it wasn't weird, it wasn't friendship, it was just business, and that was that, and it was just a character, and that was that. But it's like, clearly not. You've admitted that it wasn't that, so why are you lying about it?
6 kids, and they'd all be there, and we'd all be playing. The kids would be putting on performances, and we'd all be laughing and playing it. So it always felt very like sisterly friends.
You weren't friends, but you were. Did she just about to say she's friends as well? Is that what she's about to say here? You weren't friends, but you were sisters.
Performances, and we'd all be laughing and playing it. So it always felt very like sisterly friends, and yeah.
It's like, I'm so confused why you're so easy at lying. Why are you lying about this? And also, why are these co-hosts not picking up on this? Why are they not just sat there saying, by the way, 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, 2 minutes ago, you said that you never saw it as a friendship. Now, she could say, oh, well, when she became 18, then we became friends and stuff like that. But it's like, come on, you literally just spent another 2 minutes describing your family interactions. You knew each other. You were eating pizza together, playing games together. Why would you lie about not being friends and then a minute later saying you were friends? Because when you were asked, the reason she's done that, by the way, is she was asked by the person on the left here, Miranda, people saying it's inappropriate about your friendship with, Jojo Siwa. What do you have to say about that? Immediately, we're not friends. But then as she can get her excuses in, as she can get her redirections in, recontextualizing everything, then she starts to say, oh, it was just a lovely friendship environment. And, she's made everyone comfortable, recontextualizing everything, and then she adds in the friendship part after when the direct question comes denying the friendship. It's smart, but at the same time, it's actually the most idiotic thing you could possibly do. If you're going to lie like this, at least make the lie and then change the lie a few weeks down the line or months down the line. Don't lie to me 2 minutes in. I'm going to spot that like anyone else is. That's the thing which I find really funny about this. Is I'm a commentary channel who, I make videos about a lot of negative things. I break things down, I criticize things, I do a lot of research, but I don't think you need to be someone in the internet zeitgeist. It's a fun word to use, so I had to get it out there somehow. But I don't think if you're not in the internet zeitgeist, you could see this and still know what she is saying is complete bollocks. You could still know that this is all just a complete joke, and it is somebody clearly lying, and she's clearly using a lot of PR tactics.
Yes, now that she's older, and I would definitely consider her one of my close friends, and I love her dearly. And
again, what did I just say? She was going to do the thing. I literally just called this. I just said she's probably going to say when she gets older and becomes 18 plus, then it's a friendship. But again, you're lying again, because you just spent 2 minutes telling me that you're friends with this girl, you've been family with this girl for a long time, since you started making content pretty much. It built into this lovely, amazing thing. And now you're saying, actually, no, 30 seconds later, no, sorry, it was when she became an adult. That's interesting that you're only adding that right now. Let's get that back in there.
Sisterly friends. And yes, now that she's older, and I would definitely consider her one of my close friends, and I love her dearly.
So what are we saying here? You were friends when she was a kid, but you're also not friends? Because now she's saying, oh, now she's an adult. Now she's an adult. We're best friends. We're very close friends. But it's like, you just said to us that she was like family. She was like a sister. What world is that not like closeness? What world is being on a friendship where they feel like a family member to you, not a very close bond of friendship? When I say my best friends are like my brothers and sisters, I'm saying that in a very close way. I don't just be like, oh yeah, I don't know, Bob. My friend Bob. I don't have any friends called Bob. Let's just pretend in a world I've got a friend called Bob, all right? And I say, oh yeah, spend all my time with this person, love them to bits, know their family, our families meet up. We spend Christmas together, New Year's, Bob got the fireworks out, we have some marshmallows on the fire. That's what Americans do, right? Marshmallows on the fire, a little whipped cream, stuff like that, that's an American thing to do, I guess. That's what I do in The Simpsons anyway. But yeah, Bob and me, we're like brothers, we're like brothers. We're just so close, man. But I wouldn't say we're exactly friends. I wouldn't say we're friends. Me and Bob are like brothers. Our families know each other by the name. We hang out on Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Thanksgiving. Love a bit of Thanksgiving because we're American, of course. We do that. But I wouldn't say we're friends. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, I'm talking absolute codswallop. I'm talking absolute codswallop there. By the way, I love when I use the word codswallop because a lot of Americans don't know what that means. And I think it is just a British phrase to just mean like nonsense, lies, bollocks. Again, bollocks is another British phrase. Sorry, I do suffer with the disease of being British. It sometimes comes out. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, like, she's so obviously caught up in a spider web of her own lies here. She's basically, every minute she speaks, saying something contradictory to the previous minute.
And I admire her so much. I think she's incredible. I was very involved with talking with her mother all the time and making sure her mom knew when we were hanging out, and her mom was like, I'm friends with
Yeah, the infamous great mother of Jesselyn Siwa, who didn't definitely exploit her daughter for fame and revenue for basically her entire life. When we're going to use mothers and parents as an excuse and defense in situations like this, it's probably not a good thing for that mother to be Jesselyn Siwa, someone who herself has a lot of serious accusations directed towards her in regards to exploiting children and treating children terribly on sets and just putting them in very inappropriate environments. It's probably not the best to use that as your excuse when you yourself are also very different accusations, but you yourself are facing or have faced very different accusations and things you've admitted to. It's probably best not use Jesselyn Siwa. It's like if I saw a YouTuber get accused of something predatory, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't do these things, guys. Well, maybe we did, but it was out of context. I didn't know what was going on. And by the way, here's James Charles to kind of back me up that he thinks that I'm a great guy. It's like, well, I don't think James Charles is the person we need to use here. Just like I don't think, again, very different situation. Jesselyn Siwa didn't face predatory allegations, just lots of serious allegations of harm towards children on a set. Different, but still very serious. And I think using that person here, not exactly the best move to go. It's just not hitting. It's just not hitting. Now, if it was a loving parent, sure, but Jesselyn Siwa, probably the worst parent you could use.
with her mom. I love Jess.
Yeah.
That's all very shocking to me that people look at us being friends as. I mean, I guess it makes sense considering the allegations that have come up against me.
Yeah, it does make sense. Like, this is what she's saying. She's like making lies up, and then she's like, well, actually, when you think about it for longer than a microsecond, it does make complete sense. You were on camera making very explicit comments directed towards her at points. You were saying very weird things about this girl. So, yes, I think it is a little bit different. I think this situation is a little bit different to your average YouTuber who's a Minecraft YouTuber, friends with a 13-year-old Minecraft YouTuber. Again, it's never really, well, it has worked out, but in a lot of situations it hasn't. But again, what I'm saying here, there is some normalities. This isn't one of them.
But I think JoJo's amazing, and she's like a sister to me, and I'll stand by that forever.
But you said to us, I'm sorry, but a minute ago, you said that you were sisters, but now you're friends. So that made me think that the sisterhood has gone. So now you are still sisters. So that must have mean you were friends when she was a kid, right?
There's nothing
get your facts right.
weird or inappropriate about our friendship or our relationship.
You can say that. This is what I'm saying. She's not sorry. She is not sorry. Your friendship, regardless if you think of it not in that way, everyone can see that it was inappropriate. Again, let's do the uncomfortable thing here of stating, if this was a male YouTuber with a 13-year-old girl, I think that there would be a bit of a different sort of response to it. Again, like I said in my first video, it's not looking good that I've, for some reason, got Tucker Carlson in my recommended. It's not looking good when I say things like that. I'm not trying to be the next anti-woke YouTuber. Bring back woke. That's what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, I think in society, we have this very weird thing, which I think a lot of people have admitted to, and I think it's not really an unpopular opinion, but when there is like a woman YouTuber like this who has been very inappropriate in the past, for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's less common, it's more taboo, not taboo, but it's just less common because, men are usually the ones that take out these crimes, and, that's why the focus naturally is on that. But when it is a woman, I feel like there is a lot of excuses that are made, or just it's not taken as seriously, as we've seen with Adam Mcintyre, with Adam in particular. When it's a young boys for some reason don't get that stood up for. I don't get it. I've seen it so many times in YouTube, in society. It's like in that South Park episode, isn't it? Let me pull the clip up. Okay, so in this scene, pretty much Kyle finds out that his brother was in a very, very, very inappropriate relationship with the teacher that is a woman. And I can't play like the audio and stuff like that because I don't want to get copyrighted. But the police run over to him thinking that it was like a man in this situation. And they're like, what's going on? What's the problem? We need to report this and stuff like that. But then like the moment they find out it's a woman teacher, they're just like,
Nice.
yeah, they're like nice, pretty much, because they don't take it seriously. Because for some reason in society, I guess because it is less common, it's just not seen as a thing, or it's like the whole. It's a very like the reason I say it's like not like an anti-woke thing here is because it's like, I think it is very ingrained in toxic masculinity about, oh, boys will be boys and stuff like that. And therefore it's not taken as seriously, which is obviously a really bad thing. But I thought I just needed to make my point there. Promise you, I'm not watching that video. I'm sorry. Let's continue.
She is amazing. She's my sister, and I have a sister, and she's like a sister to her as well.
The sister that apparently, I think, maybe, I'm not going to make comments there actually, because I don't want to get my facts wrong. Continue.
And JoJo doesn't have a sister, and she's excited that now she calls us her sister.
Yeah, I mean, you clearly have been calling her sister too for like 10 years. And, you know, as I said, that could be normal, but you got to think about the context of their inappropriate business relationship.
So yeah, it's never been a weird or inappropriate thing.
Yes, it has. You can say that it hasn't, but we've seen the clips. Everyone saw the clips in 2023. It was inappropriate, and there's no denial here, which just shows to me she hasn't learned. And I'm kind of shocked that she's getting on camera and saying, you know what, there was no inappropriate behavior. It's incredibly bizarre to me, because I feel like the easier route would be of being like, oh, you know, it was 10 years ago, it was a different time on YouTube, and I just wasn't thinking about it back then. It's not necessarily going to rectify or change anything, but if she said something like that, it was a different time, and I regret it, and I am very sorry for it, but like, then she confirms there isn't, you know, behind the scenes any inappropriate stuff like that, and she like goes further into it and says sorry, then that would make sense. But she's coming on here and doing the opposite of almost doubling down and being like, no, there was nothing inappropriate going on. And I'm kind of surprised by that, because at least in the past, she somewhat says that she regrets some of the previous things of like Adam Mcintyre and stuff like that. Doesn't say his name, by the way, but either way, you know, she does good with no, she doesn't do good. She does terrible with the PR, but she tries to stick to PR points. But then interestingly with JoJo Siwa, it's straight out denial.
Though YouTube is a community of non-celebrity and celebrity people coming together and
Hey. Am I a celebrity? No, I'm not a celebrity. I wish I was a celebrity. Actually, no, I don't think I would want to be a celebrity. But can you guys call me a celebrity in the comment section to make me feel better? Boost the ego a little bit.
videos. It has become an industry of its very own.
Totally. Yes.
And
Oh, I love the response there. The moment it's like, you know what? The industry has kind of become a little bit of an industry of hysteria. And Colleen's like, totally! Let's talk about this, baby! She's like excited to talk about this. And obviously, the reason she thinks it's an industry of hysteria is because the hysteria has been directed towards her. And by the way, I don't deny that we live in an industry of hysteria. There is so much stuff that is blown up out of proportion. So many lies, so many mistruths, so much just recontextualizing situations to make them, you know, seem different to what they actually are. Ironically, that's exactly what's going on in this situation right here. But I don't deny that this is an industry of hysteria, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of the hysteria is wrong. The hysteria that happened in 2023 with Colleen was hysteria because people were shocked that this person that they'd loved for years and years grew up watching. They found out that she was having inappropriate conversations in group chats with minors. They found out that she was inappropriately, saying things on actual videos with JoJo Siwa that when they were a kid, that was normal. Again, that's another problem there, by the way, that we can get into maybe later, of where she was almost normal. Like, the reason that back 10 years ago, so many audiences accepted the inappropriate jokes surrounding like Shane Dawson and in Colleen Ballinger a few years after that, it's because the audience were kids, by the way. They didn't have the moral compass in their heads. The majority of, not all, but the majority were kids. I'm sure I have people in my comments who could say they were kids that used to watch Colleen and Shane and, you know, anyone else in that like category of influencers. And back then, you know, the moral compass isn't exactly there because you are a kid and you look up to these influencers as a kid. So again, I thought I'd just say that. But yeah, with the hysteria made sense because it was a pretty hysterical thing that happened. There was such a massive expose. I did about 3 hours. I think one of my videos in Colleen was like 5 hours long. There was a lot to talk about, and I think naturally so, the hysteria is justified. But I imagine what they're going to get into here is more being like, oh yeah, people just want to make money off it. It's just like clickbait. People are just doing things for attention and stuff like that. But there is that, of course. But with that, I don't think that's what this is.
industry of entertainment, which is what YouTube is now.
It's always been that. YouTube has always been entertainment.
People are going to interact of all different backgrounds and all different ages.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many YouTube kids that are not on YouTube because they're doing it themselves. They have their parents there with them.
Yes, but I'd argue not in the past. When I was on YouTube in 2006, just showed my age there. Painful thing to say. I had a YouTube account. I've been on YouTube since pretty much the creation of the site. I'm an OG. I was watching videos on the internet before YouTube, like the whole badger mushroom era, stuff like that. Sorry, I don't need to give my own stories out there. But either way, I don't think YouTube has always been a thing of where parents have been on your side being like, what are you watching, little Fraser? Are you watching a horrible thing that you probably shouldn't be watching at the age of 10? It's not always been like that. I think it's now only becoming more of a thing as parents and adults are more understanding and tech savvy. I think that with a new generation of parents who grew up with YouTube, it's way easier to monitor what your kids do on the internet. So yeah, now that's happening. But I'd argue in Colleen's heyday in like 2016, 15, 14, I don't necessarily think it was as much like that. There definitely was monitoring, but I think, just for the context here, I'm not, saying anything else other than this. I'm just trying to make people understand that YouTube now is very handholdy, but it hasn't always been that. For the majority of the site's, lifespan, in fact, it hasn't been like that.
And we know Jess as well. We know the family. There will never, ever be a time where Jess is not aware of what JoJo is doing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really change anything. We've seen Jessalyn, let's be real here, people. Jessalyn Siwa is not the person to use. Let me just put up a certain article. As you can see here, JoJo promised them pop stardom. They say they were thrown in the trash. With Momager, Jessalyn Siwa, the star, put together a new girl group, XOMG Pop, but after 4 members left, fans had questioned about what really happened. And I don't think it will allow us to go through it. God bless. It will allow us to go through it. Basically, if you don't know, I've done plenty of videos on this if you want to know more details, but the crux of it was, in particular, there was one person, I believe her name was Leah Sanderson, very young girl, I think she was 14 years old. She had a very, very rough time on this show, horrific on this show. We can read a quote here to really summarize Jessalyn Siwa. Okay, here it goes. They also alleged Sanderson was forced to work under intense physical duress, with Jessalyn Siwa, the mother, encouraging her to attend a video shoot just weeks after she underwent spinal cord surgery. In one instance, just days before the surgery, they allege Leah started bleeding through her belly button during a rehearsal for a performance at the Children's and Family Emmys, which was hosted by JoJo Siwa. Rather than encourage her to take a break, the Sandersons say Jessalyn Siwa told her to put a maxi pad on it so it wouldn't leak onto her costume. So no, I don't exactly think that this is the person that we should be using here as a way to justify what Colleen Ballinger has done. Some of the allegations and accusations, that's pretty much the same word, that Jessalyn Siwa has faced, it's horrific. It's awful, and I think she is probably one of the worst mums in the industry. How she's exploited her own child, but now how she's trying to shape JoJo Siwa into becoming what she was in the 2010s era with Dance Mums, with shows like this. It's horrific. It's terrible. So no, unfortunately, Colleen, and to Raven and Miranda, I'm not going to accept this excuse.
And I want to keep people aware that we really do have to be careful in how we throw stones at people when we don't know the entire story.
Oh, we know the entire story that happened here. Look at Colleen's looking, by the way. She's like, please feel sorry for me. I look really sad. But I'm sure you are sad because you're not making millions every month anymore. But either way, what she's saying there, by the way, another deflection, another excuse. And I think I've gone through 5 minutes in 40 minutes. That, I'm surprised. I did not realize. This is why people said to me, you need to go back through this. You need to go through this. There is a lot going on here. And yeah, there is. I didn't realize how bad it was in this last 15. And with quotes like that, it's very clear to me that these people are on the side of Colleen Ballinger. They may deny it. They can change the title all they want. They can even bring down the podcast episode due to backlash. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change the fact that on this podcast, you basically defended her by stating that people don't know the story, people throw stones at glass windows, whatever the phrase is, way too easily. You are inadvertently or just directly defending this person.
When there is a culture within the entertainment industry.
Good. There should be a culture of people that look after children that are blatantly exploited or being inappropriately interacted with, whether it's Jessalyn, Colleen, any other person in the industry. I'm not just talking predatory, by the way. I'm talking over amount of hours, being just forced into being in horrible working conditions as a child. These are all inappropriate things, and we should have a culture that protect these kids. I don't know why it's being portrayed in a negative way to have a culture of people that do get hysterical when they find out that kids are being inappropriately interacted with. It's very weird that we're actually saying that it's almost like a negative thing that we live in this culture of people holding celebrities and influencers now to a standard that they have never actually been held to previously. Up until, I don't know, 2020, maybe a bit before that, 2018, there was this weird era of where people could get away with so much stuff when it came to kid influencers and celebrities. Go look at like old TV contracts with how kids had insane hours, how they were basically never in school, how they were completely taken advantage of in every single situation in the industry of Hollywood. And again, that happens in YouTube as well, in different contexts, of course. So no, I don't think it's bad to have this culture of hysteria personally.
That not a lot of people understand.
So much has happened, and I can only imagine that having to absorb and internalize all of this, a lot of it must have made you have to change.
Okay, so this is kind of where we got to at the ending of the last video. I kind of skipped through the literally all of the... I don't know how I skipped through the JoJo Siwa bit, but either way, I wasn't going to go into this, but apparently there is quite a lot here, quite a lot I'll be interested in, so let's get into it.
About some of these changes you've gone through since the height of the controversy.
Well, I'm much more anxious now. And
I mean, I think that is just what is going to happen in a situation like this, unfortunately. Like, I don't wish anxiety on anyone, but at the end of the day, you were caught doing something very inappropriate and you responded to it in a terrible way and you made a terrible apology, and even 2 years later you still haven't made a correct apology. You made a statement in 2020 which wasn't really a good statement at all. It just completely deflected from everything, and you basically lied and recontextualized and redirected everyone in the situation, which worked for 3 years. But now, because of that, it was like you were building logs, like just on top of each other, loads of firewood, and then one day the fire just got started and it just blew up into flames. What were you really expecting? You have been inappropriately acting with kids in a certain way for a while. I don't really get what you thought. The anxiety, unfortunately, well, I mean, it's just it's a consequence of what happened. Like, I don't want to wish that on anyone, of course, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't have been doing the things that you were doing.
I've been through so much therapy.
I'd really love to know what they'd say. Okay, Colleen, we understand why you're feeling anxious. The entire internet's been after you. But realistically, it's probably going to get a little bit better if you just don't send kids your underwear. I think that's probably going to be the best way to deal with the anxiety. Just make sure that you don't get onto a live stream and send a 13-year-old your underwear. Just make sure you do that, and I think things will be okay.
And I also just think I go into kind of everything with a different perspective than I did before.
With the perspective of not sending kids your underwear. That's a good perspective to have, I'd say.
I mean, when I responded to everything...
By the way, again, she's doing the Ned Former tactic here of being like, I now do these completely normal human functions that everyone else does. After the controversy, I've learned, guys, I've changed. I've realized that, sending my underwear to kids, not a good idea. I'm going clothes shopping later, by the way, guys. If I accidentally buy some underwear and send it to you, I humbly apologize, but this is just a learning lesson for me. I'm trying to go through God's life lessons of not sending underwear to kids. I'm just trying to go through it. Please accept it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that, by the way. Obviously, just a joke. Please.
Thing. I was really thinking about the whole situation from my perspective, obviously.
Oh, well, I don't think you should be thinking it from your perspective, Colleen. You've probably arguably been thinking it from your perspective way too much. I can't lie.
Like, these people have shifted their opinion who were laughing with me and now they're not. And
yes. Obviously. Like, there's no grand, methodical, mathematical equation to why that's happened. It's you were caught interacting very inappropriately with your young fans. There's no, is there need to go to therapy over that, of like working out why these things happened? Because it's very obvious. I get going to therapy to deal with your anxiety and depression and coping mechanisms and stuff like that. That makes sense. But I mean, I guess talking about it is always, you're going to have to. But it does just sound a little bit weird that you're saying all these things. But to me, it's very clear you actually haven't accepted what you've done. It seems that you're actually more defensive than you were 2 years ago.
Instead of thinking about like, well, why? I was like, that's not fair, And
Wait, I'll let her speak. Maybe I'm missing something here.
which was the wrong reaction.
Good thing I let her spoke.
And so now I look at things a lot differently, just in general in life, even if I feel I have been wronged in any way or whatever.
You haven't been wronged in any way. I would argue that you've actually got off pretty scot-free. I mean, right, you're doing like Taylor Swift live reactions on your main channel, and you've still got 3 million subs. Like, let's be real. I mean, she's not exactly that relevant. She's getting 30k views a video. In the scope of things, in comparison to what she used to be doing, it's not good, But at the end of the day, like, she's still got somewhat of an audience here. Like, if we go to her comment section, look at this. Look at these comments. Proud of you for going on that podcast and for your growth. I still see you're growing and healing, and that's okay. Haters be hating. Haters be hating. What? Sorry, but I don't think I've made a video on Colleen Ballinger in 2 years, by the way. And I feel like I could have. I planned to, but I didn't, There were times where I could have made video on her, like, school trip, which was incredibly funny. It was funny to see, There was times where her sister was saying things on certain podcasts. It was times where Colleen went on, she had Jojo Siwa on her podcast, and I could have made a whole direct video on it. But I didn't. I covered the JoJo one a little bit in a JoJo Siwa video, but I didn't. So I wouldn't say the haters are hating, personally. I'd say that we are fairly criticizing a god-awful response video, and that's absolutely fine. Like, am I meant to see this response and think, oh, this is really bad, but I'm going to be the mature guy. I'm going to sit on the sidelines and just say nothing, guys. I'm going to be the mature one here. No, what are you talking about? People on the internet are genuinely hilarious, man. I've lost the tab again. I've got too many tabs open. Okay, let's continue. Haters be hating. Don't let them discourage you from the progress you've made, and don't let them get you down about this channel. This channel is for you. That's almost the problem, mate. We're just happy you share it with us. Well, I feel like oversharing has been Colleen's problem for a very long time now, but either way, yeah. Some people who are not involved but seem to know everything will never shut up. Again, it doesn't, like, what is this argument that people on the internet love to make of, oh, you don't know these people, you weren't involved. Yes, but I've seen a million screenshots. I have made 9 hours, 12 hours of videos and content about this. Do you think that I don't know the facts and the ins and the outs? In this very response, she somewhat fleetingly admits that it was wrong what she did, but then just defends herself for an hour long and just completely goes back on everything else she said that was somewhat positive, So no, I know what's happened. Everyone else knows what happened. And by the way, you don't need to know someone's life story to understand that messaging kids in an inappropriate way is bad. Groundbreaking stuff, guys. I don't know Prince Andrew, by the way. Bit of a crazy comparison, I know. I mean, Prince Andrew's done a lot worse stuff, I should say, allegedly, of course, don't sue me. But, I don't know Prince Andrew, but I know he's a bad bloke. All right? I know he's a bad bloke. I don't need to know the man's life story. I don't need to know where he shoves the crown jewels. I don't need to know that. But I know he's a bad bloke. And again, not on the same level of Colleen. Just like I mentioned earlier with Jesselyn, she's not on the same level of Colleen. But what I'm saying here is, bad people, I don't need to know their life story. I don't need to know this person's life story to know that what they've done is bad. I don't. Let me give it a non-inappropriate person. Well, it's inappropriate, but not in this type of context. In like 15 years ago, there was like a video, this just comes to my head for no reason. There was like a video of an old lady getting a cat and throwing it in a bin in the UK. And it was left there for like 2 days. Survived, by the way. It's fine. But either way, I saw that and the rest of the British public saw it. Turned into outrage. Went even over to the America. People on websites, forums, they were trying to find out who this person was. They were going to task. They didn't know her life story, but the action of throwing a cat into a bin is obviously inappropriate. So long story short, I know that the inappropriate actions that this woman was doing in group chats is bad, and I don't need to know the ins and outs of her life story to know that that's bad. Okay? Sorry that took a while to get to.
My go-to now isn't like that person's wronged me. It's what are they going through? Why did they say that? What's the root here? Because I think...
Oh, I had coffee in my mouth. It's like 11 a.m., people. Let me live. That is an insane thing to say on a video that was originally titled Colleen Ballinger's Apology, because what she's saying there is she doesn't exactly believe anything that people are saying, and it's just, oh, I'm going to be the morally virtuous person of saying, hey, my haters are going through something. And whilst I don't agree with what they're saying or believe anything that they're saying, and I think they're complete lying, terrible people who I hate, and I, would like to see them removed from the platform, I am coming at this from a place of empathy and understanding. I'm not going to argue against them, even though I'm doing that right now, and I'm going to accept them and wonder, what are they going through? Why are they doing this? That's an argument I love to hear from people that don't actually have an argument. When someone is so stubborn that they can't admit they're wrong, and they get on the moral high horse of, I'm coming at this from a place of empathy. Suddenly, I've done 16 Pilates classes and 8 yoga sessions in the space of a day, and I've been open to the cosmic universe of meditation. I am now just Zen. And because of that, I'm not going to answer any of your questions and take any responsibility for my actions. And instead, I'm going to ask the question of, why do you do this? Why are you such a piece of... Sorry. But yeah, this is terrible. It's just an excuse. She has no arguments to make here, and she doesn't want to admit anything or take responsibility. And she is just going to continue making excuses, even though she has no excuses. It's gotten to the point of where she's now being like, I have nothing to say other than, why are they like this? What are they going through? How can... It's so boring.
With everything that I went through and everything that I was canceled for, I was so caught up in the things that weren't true, and, well, they're missing the context of this. So, and that was...
The context of you sending underwear to a kid, or inappropriately interacting with group chats, which even you admit in this podcast, whatever this video is, was bad. What's the context? I'd love to know.
Taken out of context there, and this was deleted from this. And, I wanted to explain everything and prove that I wasn't this horrible person, this monster. But, like, in my response, I kind of proved I was kind of like...
dismissive.
Yeah, I was dismissive.
Again, I love this. Like, the easy criticism. The one time these two podcast hosts, Raven and Miranda, jump on it, they're like, we can criticize this. We can criticize the thing that everyone on the internet universally agrees is a bad thing. Everything else, we're kind of going to take a sit back. We may even throw in a few, inadvertent defenses here and there. But with the easy one, with the slam dunk, which, we all agree was a bit insane, the ukulele, or even the first response in 2020, we could all agree that sucked. And it kind of sets the foundations that these guys are critical of Colleen. But trust me, they're not. I was way nicer in my first video, but this second half, boy oh boy, are these two putting on a show, a really bad show that I would give a really low score on my letterbox. Follow me on letterbox, by the way. Please. I need someone to care about my opinions.
And so, I've learned to take a beat and try to hear what people are actually saying.
No, you haven't. What are you lying to me for? There's no need to lie to me, Colleen. You've already done it 50 times in this response. I don't need your lies anymore, man. Please stop. I've got better things to be doing than to be lied to by you.
Yes, there's going to be all the noise. And even when you're just having a little tiff with your partner, they're going to say they're mad about things they're not really. And it's important to try to sift through the...
Wait, did she just compare her allegations towards a tiff with your partner?
Noise. And even when you're just having a little tiff with your partner, I wanted to explain everything and prove that I wasn't this horrible person, this monster. But in my response, I kind of proved I was kind of
dismissive.
Yeah, I was dismissive. And so, I've learned to take a beat and try to hear what people are actually saying. Because yes, there's going to be all the noise. And even when you're just having a little tiff with your partner, they're going to say they're mad about things.
It sounds like to me, in regards to the context of her saying you're going to hear all of the noise, she's basically stating, oh, all of the actual real criticism I'm going to avoid, and I'm just going to go and speak to people that I can handle and accept, which translates to people that aren't exactly critical of her.
They're not really. And it's important to try to like sift through the crazy and get to like, what's the root here? Why is this person hurt?
Yeah.
And
Well, that's absolute bollocks, by the way. This woman has I don't believe she's ever referenced Adam Mcintyre in any of her response ever. She's like indirectly done it, I'm pretty sure. Referred to him as this person or something on those lines. But she's never made a direct response to him by name. So no, I don't think you're ever trying to get to the root cause. And I think what she's saying here is, oh, I speak to my most dedicated fans who still support me to this day about these things in hope that I can kind of keep them around as they're the only things that are still bringing me money on a monthly basis.
how can I help them to feel better? And how can I explain this in the right way to help
Also,
them?
she's saying this like she's done any of this. She's done 3 responses, the original one in 2020, the ukulele, and now this. And in every single one, she has not done what she's saying here. She's not tried to help people. She's not tried to narrow it down to the root cause and come to an empathetic understanding because she's in a place of zen right now. She's not done any of that. She is just made excuses, half of it. Even in her ukulele, she was like, I'm not a thing, whatever she said, like a guru, I don't want to say the word, I'm just a weirdo, or something along those lines. Like, she's been making excuses for 5 years now. So, sorry, mate, I don't accept this.
feel safe and okay when they're not feeling good.
Well, that mindset definitely comes with maturity. You know, that's something that we all have to learn. Is
it like what, having empathy and understanding for people? Is that really that big of a thing of maturity? Like, maybe it is, you know. Well, obviously we all do get a bit more empathetic when you're older. I feel like teen boys are like satanic demons, like teenage boys. Like, I think there's a genuine thing of like a lot of teenage boys have no empathy. Like, I think it's just something you experience even if you are a teen boy and in like high school and stuff like that. So like, I get kids becoming older and, you know, developing and learning empathy, but we're talking about Colleen when she was 30 years old. That's why I'm kind of confused by the wordings and description. And I'm not saying you can't learn after 30 years old, but I think having empathy and understanding to the point of knowing that not sending underwear to kids is probably the right way to go about it. Sending the underwear is not a good thing to do. And I feel like most 30-year-olds understand that. That's why I'm kind of confused by this. They're speaking like Colleen was a 16-year-old. They're speaking about how like she's this person that came out with onto YouTube with no life experience, but she was a grown adult. Like, she had life experience. So yeah, I searched up the ages and I searched up the facts, okay? So Colleen Ballinger is 40 years old next year. And that's like, I'm not age shaming here, but I am saying that how she speaks on this podcast. And by the way, I did not know she was near 40. I should just say, like, she does not look 40. If there's one thing we can like give credit for, drop the skincare routine, man. You do not. I mean, I'd argue that I don't look 28. I'd argue. I'm almost 29 in 3 months. But what I'm saying here, she's 40 years old and we're having conversations like she's a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old. She went to therapy and learned that she shouldn't do the things that she was doing. It just comes off very weird why it took 40 years to get to that point. And yeah, as we can see here, Adam Mcintyre alleged that he first formed a relationship with Ballinger, a YouTuber and performer who is now 33, in 2016 when he was 13 years old. By the way, this is a very old article, I should just say. So yeah, he was 13 when these things were taking place. That is the facts there. She was in her 30s. 29/30, right? So at that age, I think I just said, I'm almost 29. I am not even at the age that Colleen was at when she was first interacting with a 13-year-old Adam Mcintyre. And I can promise, like I've confirmed multiple times, I will not be sending out my Calvin Kleins to a member of my audience other than Obese to Beast. That's it. And he just wants them because it's like a fan reward? That sounds weird. No, Obese to Beast is older than me. He's ancient. Don't go to his comments and tell him I said that. He's an old man. Happy birthday to John because it was his birthday yesterday. Either way, I'm just saying, when you get to 30 years old, you should know not to do these things. Sorry, it's a bit all over the place right now. Losing my head. Where's the audio?
trial and error that comes from.
Are we Are we really doing the trial and error argument here? Are we really saying this?
Mindset definitely comes with maturity. You know, that's something that we all have to learn. That's something that people aren't born with. That comes from trial and error.
There is no need for trial and error to not inappropriately message young fans. Because if there was a need to trial and error that sort of thing, we'd all be in jail. Like, come on, people. Use the brains that we have been gifted with. It's not, well, I say that. I know what's going on here. These people know, like, Miranda knows, Raven knows, these guys know. They know what's happened here is bad, but they're trying their best to defend their friend. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. Because if it's not that, holy God, what are you doing? What are these arguments? She is 40 years old next year. There's no like learning thing that happens at 40 where you realize suddenly one day, oh, don't send your underwear out to kids. Jesus.
That comes from trauma, and that comes from
Again, you don't need to be traumatized into knowing to not do these things. I probably have at least one member of my audience that isn't mentally ill, that has no trauma, and I'm sure that they know that it's bad to do what Colleen Ballinger has done. Maybe it's a stretch to say I have one in my audience, but maybe someone out there doesn't have trauma, and maybe they have the understanding that you don't need to do the things or you shouldn't do the things that Colleen Ballinger has done, you know? You don't need trauma to teach you these lessons. Also, this whole excuse is actually, when you really think about it, genuinely quite disgusting to anyone that's ever faced trauma in their life or a form of mental illness, you know? Because comparing trauma to what's happened in this situation, it's like hilariously despicable. I cannot believe we're using almost like a mental health argument here of, yeah, you go for your trauma and you learn to not do these horrible things. Good Lord, what are we doing?
Situation like what you have been through. Knowing that this lives online forever. How are you going to explain this to your children?
Yeah. How are you going to explain to your kids? Look at a face. That is the face of a woman, a person, a human being that just realized, oh God, my kids are going to get on the internet one day, and the first thing they're going to see is that she sent underwear to a 13-year-old. That is crazy. And look, there is no way to really rectify that or help kids understand that, because maybe when they're kids, they will, you love your mum. You're like, well, you guys probably, like, some of you might have bad relationships with your mums. I love my mum, but some of you might not, But what I'm saying here is, as a kid, you may look past it because you don't have a moral compass in your mind, which is this is the irony here. She is going to go to her children and explain to them and justify it to them over what happened. Like when that kid goes to school for the first time and somebody goes, "Mommy, this person at school was bullying me because they said that you sent underwear to somebody who was 13. Did you do that?" She's gonna like lie to them and like manipulate them into thinking that it was actually this accident, this normal thing where she had to go through all these life lessons. And the kid's gonna be like, "Okay." And then like 8 years later, when they're 18 years old, they're going to start to realize they're a young adult. They're a young adult at that point, and they'll start to realize, oh, I was manipulated. I was lied to by my mum. And that's what I believe is going to happen here, because as we've seen, she hasn't learned, she hasn't changed in any way. And it's like Adam Mcintyre, for example. When he was 13, he thought it was normal because he didn't have the life experience to know. Like, when you're a victim, obviously at that age, you just don't know. Some points you will know. Some people do know, but what was going on there? He clearly got a bit older and realized, and then it really, over time, hit him more and more and more, as we've seen in his first video in 2020, his videos in 2023, and his videos this year, how much it's impacted him and impacted other people who went on stage with Colleen. And as you get older, you realize, and that's going to happen again. Just a different realization, of course, in a different situation and circumstances, but it's going to happen. And she's clearly realized that right here.
That's part of the reason why I'm here now. I kind of was at...
I don't know if that's a good thing, mate. I think if your daughter watches this in 10 years' time, she's going to be very disappointed.
The mindset for so long, like, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm extremely non-confrontational, and I'm very anxious, and I will do absolutely anything to avoid a confrontation or avoid someone being upset with me.
We know. Or
to a fault. It's not something I love about myself. It's something that gets me in trouble.
I don't think it does. I don't. Again, the excuses and the lies and the recontextualizing of things. Again, you're not in trouble because you're non-confrontational. I know so many non-confrontational people, and they're lovely and they're nice, and they've never been involved in any drama or hysterical situations ever because they didn't send their underwear to children. They didn't go in group chats with children and have inappropriate conversations. They didn't make inappropriate comments directed towards Jojo Siwa. They didn't bring up fans on stage and acted inappropriate with them. Like that, they didn't do these things, and therefore they were fine. Again, it's the trying to make very basic points of, there's hysteria on the internet or something on those lines. She's very much trying to make things seem almost like normal when they're really not.
And so I don't want to continue to, bring it up for people that they don't, it might hurt them, or, I just feel like, people have said how they feel about me, and I'm just going to back away because that's
you certainly have backed away, but on this podcast you've basically said that it was hysteria, basically said people taking things out of context and stuff like that, and it's like you're clearly not backing off completely, and you've clearly got your thoughts, and you clearly don't believe a lot of people out there.
I think that people want at this point, it's kind of how I felt.
You are coming back around to...
Did we... What is with these cuts? Every single time Colleen Ballinger starts to go... I know it's ironic because I keep pausing, but every single time Colleen Ballinger gets into something interesting where she's actually speaking about her serious situations, for example, how are you going to speak to your daughter about this? She starts to speak and then there's a jump cut because she's clearly said something which they realized on the editing panel, there's going to be someone that picks up on that. There's going to be someone that picks up on that, and they're going to criticize it like how it's going to get clipped on TikTok, Twitter, it's going to go viral, and it's going to make you look even worse. And that's what, but in my opinion anyway, that's what's happened, because when you see a jump cut in a situation like that, that's the only logic I can really take. I've cut things out of videos before where I've been like, that's maybe not appropriate in a video, that's maybe not the right thing to say in a video, maybe I've got something wrong and it would look bad. That's when you cut things out and have a jump cut. And I think here we've got the worst example of that, in my opinion. And what makes it hilarious is that means that this 1-4-minute long podcast is the best version of it. This is the best cut down and edited version of what they could get from this conversation. That is genuinely quite insane.
Not say, take me in again.
No.
But you're coming back around to say, I know what I did. I know what I need to change. I'm changing. You don't have to love me.
Again, this is very disingenuous. I am so sorry to keep on pausing. I know it's annoying for you. If you want to go watch it, you can go watch it yourself. But what they're saying here is just so disingenuous. Let's listen to that one more time.
Me in again.
No.
But you're coming back around to say, I know what I did. I know what I need to change. I'm changing. You don't have to love me. You don't have to like me.
The changing thing is so key here, because I don't know. Obviously she needs to change, but what is the context of change here? What? Stop messaging people in group chats? Because the reality is we're not mad at Colleen Ballinger for her personality or the overarching style of her content in general. There are very inappropriate things that happened in her content, but let's say we remove the Jojo Siwa stuff, and okay, maybe Mirana Sings is a bad example, but Colleen as a person and her regular content, I don't have a problem with that per se. I have a problem with the fact that she's messaged kids inappropriately from her audience, So it is weird to hear the whole changing argument and learning, because for one, I feel like that's something you should have already known at 30 years old, You shouldn't have to go to therapy and go through life lessons and changes to know that what Colleen has done is bad. But that's the argument they're making here, and I think the reason they're doing it's like the Ned Former thing of they're trying to make them seem a lot, trying to make their issues be a lot more humanized. They're trying to make people empathize with Colleen Ballinger more by making it sound like it's more of a regular issue that all human beings go through. When they see people throw rocks at glass houses and stuff like that, people go crazy, people are hysterical. They're trying to almost, in my opinion, make it an argument of cancel culture, which is a big conversation that a lot of people are empathetic to. When the reality is this is a very serious thing that happened, and I don't think they're taking it seriously.
Right.
but you recognize what happened. And that
Right.
takes a lot of
I don't think she does. She's about to swear. Let's pause it. There we go.
I obviously wish I could go back and do everything differently in my reactions to this whole situation. I feel terrible that I made anyone feel anything other than happy and safe in our little community online. That's all I ever wanted.
Again, she's being like, it was a little community online. It was so cute and sweet. But it wasn't. The community was clearly not that. Maybe in parts where you weren't a part of it, it was that. But you were in these incredibly inappropriate group chats talking about people's virginities and stuff like that. Obviously, that isn't a very wholesome, sweet community. So stop recontextualizing things and trying to make people think, oh, it wasn't that bad.
And I feel so terrible that I disappointed so many people. And I'm genuine. Can't even talk.
You're okay. Take a beat.
Stressed.
She's probably stressed because she's been lying for an hour straight. Is she going to say sorry again? Are we going to get a sorry without a jump cut? What do we think she's drinking? Green tea? Chamomile tea? Chamomile tea, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe about cocoa? Let us know in the comments section. But it's riveting content and analysis. Say sorry. Go on. You can do it. You can get it out there, Colleen. You can do it. Jump cut?
I should have thought a lot more about my interactions
We got the jump cut. Maybe that wasn't a jump cut. Maybe it was just a camera cut. Okay, let's do that.
with my fans and how it could affect them. I should have been more responsible and thought about
Are these jump cuts? Are we jump cutting here?
been more responsible
Wait,
and
let's
thought
do that again. Let's go back. That's not a jump cut. That's a jump cut. I'm pretty convinced that's a jump cut. Does her head... Let me just... Okay, so her head's down here. And then it goes up. So that is a jump cut. Now, I don't know if they've just cut because she had a long, awkward pause. Maybe we've got the little script out, starting to read. I don't think she's probably looked at a script. I think she's really trying to think what like the best PR-related thing is that she can say here. So let's listen.
I should have thought a lot more about my interactions with my fans and how
You just shouldn't have done. You should not. See what the problem is? Like, the first thing she says after her long-drawn PR4 is still wrong. Just say, I'm sorry, I should not have done it. You shouldn't have thought more about it. You should not have done it. That's what you need to say, Colleen. It's been 5 years and you're still not getting it.
could affect them. I should have been more responsible and thought about how
You
these
should have just not done it. Say you shouldn't have done it.
things could affect people, especially, the teenagers that were interacting with me. And I'm so now, in hindsight, like grateful and proud of these people for coming forward and saying, like, hey,
No, you're not. Stop lying. That's one of the craziest lies. You're not grateful that these people have come forward and spoken about you in these terms of these accusations. I'm sorry, you're not. Because if you were grateful, you would have said their names directly by now. Maybe she does in a bit, but in 5 years, she hasn't said their names. I mentioned we were going to go through this here. Let's quickly take a look at this right here, right? Let's just go to this bit.
frustration that they were
This is her response 5 years ago, by the way. This is how she first addressed the situation. The first 4 minutes is to do with other stuff, but this is onwards is about the situation.
trying to bring my they were upset. I responded immediately. I was very shocked and confused. I expressed I didn't know what they were talking about, and I also expressed frustration that they were trying to bring my son's name into their drama. Then I received
They're talking about Adam Mcintyre here. Basically, in context, I'm pretty sure Adam said something like, you would be disgusted if someone spoke to your son the way you speak to me. Something on those lines. Again, go watch my original video about the situation. This is why I prefer to do the edited scripted format, so I can just bring the receipts up. I feel bad not bringing them up. But yeah, she was basically referring to Adam there, not saying the name, also called it drama, by the way. Listen to that again. What Adam Mcintyre said was about the inappropriate interactions that she was having with her fans, in particular Adam. He said, you would not be happy if this happened to your son. Or in something on those lines. And she calls it drama in her first response in 2020.
expressed I didn't know what they were talking about, and I also expressed frustration that they were trying to bring my son's name into their drama. Then I received
Drama. So we've got the drama bit there, but despite that, she says here that she's been proud of them for coming forward with their accusations. Now, obviously, that's Adam's sorry. Obviously, this is 5 years ago. Maybe she's changed, but let's just listen again.
received a message from this person's mother asking me to not
As you say, Adam's mum.
speak his name. So I was trying to respect the mother's wishes and the parents' wishes of this 17-year-old. But it has gotten to a point
they were 13 when you started interacting. But yeah, of course, at this point, they were 17.
Where there are so many rumors and lies and speculations going
Again, rumors and lies and speculations. She clearly isn't that proud about the people coming forward with their story. For someone that's proud, she clearly isn't that proud about it.
I feel like I need to address it. I do have receipts proving the things that I'm about to tell you. However, I feel uncomfortable sharing them because he is a minor. So I'm only going to...
So yeah, basically the rest of this is just her taking a lot of things out of context, making things look way better in her favor. And that's kind of what my first video is all about, just going through everything here. Like, let's just go, like I said we were going to go through these towards... I've disliked my own video. Why have I done that? 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I disliked my own video. Either way, sorry. So this is like an example, okay, of we're going to see old me. So this is me now. All right, look at the jawline. There's Mog. And then... sorry, this is so inappropriate. And then...
thought it was funny, and then they said...
Oh god, no, I shouldn't be making jokes like that in the context of what's going on here. I'm sorry. That's how you apologize. I'm sorry. I just realized what the context of this clip is. I'm sorry. That's really bad. Jesus Christ, I'm such a dick. Sorry.
They had to send me the bra and panties.
So yes, God, sorry. I completely forgot the context of what this is on. I thought this was just going to get into Colleen's clip here. Sorry. So yeah, serious mode back on here. What's going on here is Adam is talking about how he was sent underwear, lingerie, from Colleen when he was 13 to his address. And this is going through the context.
Here are some clips from that live stream.
Ew!
That outfit, screaming, homeschooled Christian
When do I give my commentary? I'm waiting for my commentary here. Like, go through the context. That's why we're here.
Colleen Ballinger said, "Hi, you are such a fashion icon," and tweeted the ugliest picture of me. This is honestly the worst outfit.
So this is 13-year-old Adam in Colleen's chat in like 2016, I think? Between 2016 and 2018.
He's so rude. What made you order these ugly clothes?
Adam!
Those clothes are nasty. He's so rude. Oh my god, he's so sassy. Your Twitter account is making me laugh so much. Oh my god, that makes me laugh. I want to send him something.
So that was her like first like thing there. She was the one that brought up, I want to send him something. That's the key thing to take here. There's been a lot of like context of like sharing things around, making things seem like Adam was like begging for it constantly from the very beginning. But the reason for that was because she said, I want to send him something in regards to what they're wearing in this scene right here, which as you can see on him, he's wearing the clothes that she is getting rid of. The whole thing is she's getting rid of clothes that she doesn't like, I'm pretty sure.
Do you want the bra, Adam?
See what I mean? See what I mean? There's like...
Do you want the bra and panties?
Yeah, let's skip forward here to
To send me her lingerie. I'm not lying, she did. Trust me. She hugged me and we were talking and she was like, I'm so sorry I didn't bring your lingerie.
So this became a thing of where she was like meeting him. Look how young he looks here, by the way. This is how young Adam was at this point. This is crazy to look at now and just think back on. Like, I was crazy back then too, but just like I haven't looked at this in 2 years. This was a very young kid who was a fan. And look, he's like at this point very happy. He's very like enamored by Colleen, and that's because he's young. He doesn't know better, you know? And
my parents were right behind me, so thanks for that, Colleen.
You know what I find the most disturbing about this is that Adam, as a teenager, I feel like I look really different now. That's kind of what I was joking about before. Jesus, the hair. I've got black hair at the moment. Don't ask why. Young teenager, not just about to become 18-year-old. Even that's still young, but a 13-year-old Adam realized that what was going on here was wrong. It was inappropriate, and he knew that this was best kept away from his parents. If a 13-year-old knows that, why is a 30-year-old still complying in this? By acknowledging that his parents were there, he clearly knew that this was weird, and he didn't want other grown adults to know about this. But yeah, sorry for like the jumping across the videos and stuff like that. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is like, it's clear it was really bad. It's clear that Colleen over the years has lied about the context of this situation. Like in her, she's basically like in her response, I've lost it now. In her response and in a lot of things she's spoken about, I believe even in this and in other stuff where she's spoken about this whole situation, the whole thing is like she's made it out like Adam was like this begging fan who was constantly asking for these things. And even if he does, that doesn't justify justify what you've done by sending it. You were a 30-year-old adult, and now you're trying to get on camera and say that you care about these people and you acknowledge them, when the reality is even now, like, I know Adam's mum before said don't say his name, but he's a grown adult now. It's the most known about situation involving you, but you still can't say his name. And not just with Adam, but with all the other people involved too. You still haven't said their names, but you're going to pretend that you care about them, despite for years you have basically slandered these people and made them seem out to be liars.
Hey, this is not okay behavior. Because even though I know that I never wanted to hurt anyone, and my intentions and my desire.
Yeah, I'm sure that defense has worked in court cases where people have been, arrested for very serious crimes. They've been like, oh, sorry, judge, I didn't mean to hurt them. Because again, I think I mentioned that in my first video. It's something that is so hilarious when somebody gets exposed for some heinous things and their first response is, I didn't mean to hurt them. That wasn't my intention. Her biggest argument throughout this entire podcast that we went through in the first one is intentionality rather than actions, which is just a great way to win people over, because by being like, oh, I didn't intend to do this, your biggest fans will be like, oh, well, that's great then. You didn't intend to do it and it was just all an accident. And yeah, it was a mistake, but now you've said sorry, we can move on. But it's like, no, it's not about intentionality. It's about committing fraud on the action. And also, you can speak to me about intentionality, but it makes me more concerned and more worried that at 30 years old, you didn't realize that the things that you were doing were inappropriate. But yeah, that's
There were nothing negative in my interactions with these people.
Yes, there was. Every interaction you had was negative. Stop. This is how I know she hasn't changed. In saying there was no negativity, you have not learned and you've not changed. Your interactions were directly negative. How were they not? You're on an hour podcast. For the last 5 years, your career has been in flames, constant controversy, constant videos about you, and you're saying that these interactions weren't negative? What do you think the entire internet is in hysteria about, like you like to bring up earlier? Why do you think there is this hysterical culture around? Because obviously your interactions were negative.
That needed to be said. They needed to say, like, hey, this isn't okay, because there are people out there who they do have the intentions to hurt them, and they need to be able to say, like, this isn't okay, and I'm not standing for this, and like, my heart was in the right place. It doesn't matter if people felt uncomfortable. I'm proud of them for saying, like, this wasn't okay and this made me uncomfortable, or this is not an okay thing to joke about, or whatever. That needed to happen. And I hope that anyone interacting with anyone online, whether it be a celebrity or a new friend or anyone, goes into it with that caution up of, like, what are these person's intentions?
I'm so done. This shows again how a minute ago she was saying that she's like grateful for the people coming forward about their stories and stuff like that, and now she's being like, before you inappropriately interact with minors on the internet, just make sure you learn about their intentions. It's like, what are you saying here? Are you trying to be like, trying to give like creators like a textbook, a guide on how to get away with being inappropriate with your fans? Is that what you're trying to do here? What argument is this? I'm so confused.
And assuming they're negative going into it, I feel like is a good thing to protect them from
Real predators
who actually do.
What? Am I missing something? Let's replay that. Let's just fully listen to that without cutting in.
Say, like, this isn't okay, and I'm not standing for this, and like, my heart was in the right place. It doesn't matter if people felt uncomfortable. I'm proud of them for saying, like, this wasn't okay and this made me uncomfortable, or this is not an okay thing to joke about, or whatever. That needed to happen. And I hope that anyone interacting with anyone online, whether it be a celebrity or a new friend or anyone, goes into it with that caution up of, like, what are these person's intentions? And assuming they're negative going into it, I feel like is a good thing.
I genuinely don't know what she's saying here. Maybe I'm just going a bit crazy, but I feel like she's just spewing out buzzwords to try and seem right and righteous, and almost to seem like she's learned and changed. It feels like she's just saying things for the sake of saying it, to the point of where it doesn't really make sense. Is she saying that if you speak to a celebrity, you should assume they're being negative, or vice versa? I don't really know what she's saying here. My only advice to you, Colleen, would be just don't message your underage fans. Just don't at this point. Like, don't do that. That's that. And the same goes for your peers as well. Just don't do that. It's pretty simple. There shouldn't be this whole methodical thought process behind it. It should just be, yeah, yeah, don't do that. It's not difficult, but it's clear she hasn't learned and changed, and it's got to the point of where she's just saying things for no reason, by the way.
Protect them from
Real predators.
Real
Yeah,
predators
real
who actually do
predators.
want to hurt them.
So do you acknowledge that is she acknowledging that her actions were predatory there? Because you're speaking in the context of yourself. You were saying you're glad people have come forward because they were inappropriate, and now you're saying in the future to protect kids, and we should do this to protect them from predators. So you've effectively just called yourself a predator there. Great apology. I mean, I'm glad you've acknowledged your predatory actions.
I'd be curious to know your thoughts
I never
on
jump cut, by the way.
what you think your spirit is here to learn. Because what you've had to endure
It's a big learning lesson.
is it's a masterclass beyond. And
I was joking earlier about the spirituality conversation, guys. We don't actually need to speak about Colleen going to a place of Zen. We don't need to do that for these last 8 minutes of this podcast. We don't need to do that.
it has, I think, brought you to your knees. It has made you, as you said, more anxious. It's shifted your perspective. You had to take 2 years away. You haven't been online. I mean, it really kind of changed your life. So what do you think the lesson is for your soul?
Don't message kids. That's it. Oh my God. What do you mean? The message to your soul. Jesus. What's going on in the California water supply, man? What's been pumped in there where people have been like, let's do this. Colleen. They call up Colleen. They're like, Colleen, do you want to... Oh, Colleen calls up them. Oh, can I go on your podcast? You're like, oh, yeah, we can talk about your horrible interactions with kids. I said, we can do that. And they're like, oh, okay. You know, they lock it in. Great conversation topic. Gonna bang on the internet. It actually hasn't. It's got 99,000 views. But alas, it's going to go great. We're going to speak about it. We're going to get to the end of this whole debacle. We're going to put it to rest. How do we have this conversation planned about the interactions that she's had with minors, and have led it to, how can we make this about spirituality? I'm sorry, but there's no conversation that needs to happen about the soul here. The conversation that needs to happen is, are you not going to message your young kids fans anymore? Are you not going to do that? Oh, my brain is like on fire right now. And I know why they're doing this, by the way. I know they're not done. Contrary to belief, I don't necessarily believe these people are stupid. I believe people like Colleen, Miranda, who just asked that question, I think they're doing this in a way to make her seem relatable. I think they're doing this in a way to make her relate to their audience more, of making it into a spirituality thing, because I guess in spirituality, a lot of the things it's like letting go of attachments and letting go of your pain and suffering and learning and growing and changing from it and becoming a better human being. And that's fine. That's fine. I got no issues with spirituality whatsoever. It's overall probably a good thing. You know, I'm not the most spiritual guy myself, but it's probably a good thing. But it doesn't need to be coming into this conversation here, but it is. And I don't know why. Well, I do, as I said, I know why. It's obviously to cause the relatable stuff, but it's insane to hear what they're saying. It is insane.
Your being on Earth right now.
Just shut up. What are we doing? We're talking about earthly tethers. Earthly tethers to sending underwear to kids. What? Stop. How is this worse? How is it going? The first half was bad, but these last 20 minutes, Jesus Christ.
There are so many lessons. I mean, the things
No, there's one. Don't message your young fans.
that I've learned and reflected on and thought about over the last couple of years is, I mean, I'm a completely different person now in so many different ways. One is, I mean, thinking about things from other people's perspectives is important, because while, you know, I might have been like, I can't believe people would say this, I'm sure everyone watching was like, why? I can't believe she's not addressing this properly. I can't believe she's, you know, they felt betrayed by me.
I didn't feel betrayed. I just thought you were mental, to be honest with you. I just thought this person's lost their mind. That's what I thought. I wasn't betrayed. Maybe your audience were betrayed, maybe, but I don't think of it as that deep, to be honest with you.
My fans and supporters, that I wasn't addressing this the appropriate way and explaining what was going on. And so I've learned to try to look at conflict from the other person's perspective. I've also, everything that I do and everything.
Love the jump cut, by the way. What did she say in between that first sentence and the new sentence? What did she say that had to be cut?
Thing that I say, especially as a person of influence, is I'm impacting people.
Fuck, no, you're not. No, you're not. Come on. It's 2025, Colleen Ballinger. You are not impacting anyone anymore.
And is that impact necessary, and is it good? Because
I was gonna make a snarky comment, but I just can't be bothered. This is so stupid.
sometimes you don't need to make them laugh if it's going to hurt someone along the way. Like, you don't need to, it's not worth it.
Again, she's recontextualizing things there by being like, she's trying to make it out like all of this was like in her content by being like, sometimes you don't need to make people laugh. And it's like, half your interactions that you're being exposed and called out for were in private group chats and also in delivery services. Like that's where your interactions came mostly that you were called out for. Obviously, there was the Miranda Singh stuff, but mostly it wasn't at the attempt of making people laugh. So again, recontextualizing the situation here on purpose, in my opinion.
Thinking about the long term, as someone who thinks in the here, right now, what will make people happy right now and make people like me right now, that doesn't always result in good things. You know, thinking in the long term and how is this going to snowball and affect people in the future it's a way I've never thought before, and it's something I'm still learning and working on, because it is my go-to to be like, how can I make this person happy right now? I just want, you know, and that causes problems. You really need to be thinking about.
Again, she's trying to make herself seem so much more awesome. Like, she's trying to be like, oh, I'm so nice. I just want to make people happy. And that's why I sent my underwear to Adam, because he kept asking for it, even though in the video we just saw, it was her that suggested it. I mean, are you trying to make your fans happy there when you do that? Is that what you're trying to do? Meet up with them in person, have a little conversation, being like, sorry, 13-year-old. By the way, let's get that photo of Adam up again. Let's go back to Adam's video. Where is it? This kid right here, you were trying to make happy in person by being like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't bring my underwear. Is that the level of happiness you're talking about here? Because that's very weird.
About the other person's well-being and how it will affect them in the future.
If you cared about that, you would not have spoke about rumors, speculation, and lies like we saw in your video from 2020. Because what you said there absolutely put Adam's world upside down. You sent him into a place of where so many people were coming after him. You did not do anything to defend him. You did not anything to look after him. You don't care about the people that called you out's well-being. I'm sorry, you just don't. It's a lie, and you're again trying to make yourself look more understandable and reasonable so the audience, take this better. It's absolute lies. It's absolute lies.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've learned and I'm working on a lot.
It's apparent that you want to make amends, that you are taking responsibility for the things that you have done in the past that were not okay. And you've said, I'm sorry now, many, many times before being on this show, and now many times today on the show. But I want to know, have you been able to / will you forgive yourself?
Oh my God. She hasn't even, she's not even said sorry properly to the victims at the end of the day. She said sorry once and there was a jump cut, and now they're being like, okay, well, we didn't get a proper apology from you, but can we get a proper apology from you to yourself? What are we doing? What, even she looks like confused by this. I need to take a screenshot of that. Let me get my screenshot thing up, because that might be a thumbnail right there, because this is a person, even she looks a bit confused by this statement. Good God.
For some things, I think. But I also think I'm one of those people that, like, whatever hate comments or hate I receive, I've already thought it about myself at some point in my life. So, I'm my biggest hater.
I don't know if that's true. I see a lot of negative comments about Colleen Ballinger. I don't know if that's true.
They ain't got nothing on me. So
I don't know if that's true, Colleen. I don't know if that's true.
Like, it's hard for me to have grace with myself and forgiveness. And I think that's why it's taken me so long to even say anything is...
No, the reason it's taken you so long to say anything is because you've had nothing to say, because you knew your actions were bad. And the only moment you've actually tried to say something is when you're in a room with two people that are basically defending you for an hour straight.
It's like, oh, okay, I'll just back away, because I just, and that's one of the things I've learned in the last 2 years is so much of my self-worth was based in the validation from my fans and making sure I was being entertaining and I was giving them what they wanted. And that was who I was as a person.
Oh, God, stop.
So when that was taken away, I was like,
oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Are we going to get into tears? Oh, is she about to cry? I didn't know she cries in this. We're about to get into tears. Please don't do this. Please don't. It's the one thing you haven't done. It's the one wrong thing that you haven't done. And we were so proud of you, Colleen. We were so proud that you were making it an hour long without crying in a response. Please. Even Ned Fulmer, he tried. He did try in his recent response. He did try to cry. But I think you're about to cry. I'm going to keep on taking screenshots, by the way, for thumbnails, because we're getting some good screenshots for thumbnails here.
Then I'm nothing.
Oh, God, don't
So that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, to find peace and happiness and validation and be okay with myself with that not there. Because you can't put your entire person and your whole validation in like what others think of you. And that's what
I think she's not going to cry. There are tears in her eyes, but I think she's managed to get by it. I think she's managed to get by it.
Doing with my fans, I wasn't anything without that.
Do you remember earlier when I asked you what your lesson was for your soul? That, to me, is actually the answer.
Oh, stop. Just stop, man. We're an hour in. Just stop.
The person that you are, because you've struggled with your worth, because you've struggled with your confidence, it's like when...
This isn't a... Oh, she's crying. She's crying. Jeez. This isn't a conversation about self-worth. Can we stop trying to make this into a relatable argument so the audience accept this better? This isn't an argument of relatability. This is an argument about not messaging kids. It's actually really simple. This could have been a 5-minute podcast where she says sorry, maybe explains a few things here and there, why she's been gone and stuff like that and what she's been doing. That could be it. We don't need to do this.
You have those questions of, am I worthy enough to be here?
Of course she is, obviously. Like, she's on it now. She's on this podcast. You've invited her on, so obviously she's worth being here.
If you're in this industry and you show weakness, that will be eaten alive.
There is nothing... She's crying. She's still crying. There's nothing about the argument of weakness here. And it's not... And also, they're making this sound like, oh, the industry is so evil, it will eat you alive if you show weakness and emotion. It's like, no, we're not doing that. We encourage emotion and weakness. We do. We like it when people show their moments of weakness because it shows they're actually a human being, you know? We get that and we like that. But that's not the conversation we're asking for here. We're asking, why did you message your fans inappropriately? This is so funny because it's so off the route of discussion that we need to be on. We were going down it for a little bit in the first episode. Now we've just reared off course and they're trying to end it in a very positive note. But I'm sorry, we can't end it this way. But when for an hour straight, you've just made this whole thing into a load of bollocks.
Because people prey on that. Right. And I think your soul...
Is that another screenshot? It might be. It might be, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, Colleen, to do this to you, but these tears are crazy, man. Are these tears of sadness because you feel bad about what you've done? Or are these tears of, I don't know, just pure YouTube nonsense?
Journey
Get them
here
out.
is
Get
to
the tears
learn
out.
that
Get
you're
the tears
worthy
out. Get them up.
and to really find
Oh god, there's so many screenshots. Look, I need this for my thumbnail, man. Jeez, good
peace in
god.
yourself
Right.
and love yourself, because I tell you,
Well,
We could jump cut everything else, but we can't jump cut Colleen Ballinger getting her tears out. My lord,
it's brutal.
I'm still working on that one.
I know.
I think
yeah.
you know,
there's not even
This is
tears there. She's almost pretending now. There wasn't enough tears that she thought was gonna come out, and she's like pretending. Like she's doing the Laura Leah where the jump cuts to the bit. You know when Laura like cut to the bit where she's like speaking like this, and then she like and it cuts, and she's just like that, and there's like a tear on her face. And she's about to blatantly squirt water or squeezed out one tear.
not a woe is me thing at all. But like there was, with everything that happened, I was about to do another Broadway show, and I was writing my next book.
The books were the problem as well. I don't know if you guys remember the books, but there was so much inappropriate stuff written in those books that kids were reading.
And I was in the middle of a big tour, and everything was one by one like plucked from me. Everything that I'd been working on and worked for decades, was gone, and it sucked. But like honestly, like what really struck me was who am I without this validation from these people? So it took me a while to
Come on, get the tears out.
wake up and not be disappointed,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but
like,
at the end of the day, I just don't know what we're talking about.
yeah, I definitely worked really hard to get there and realized one day like, oh, I'm not getting any validation from audience, and I'm okay. Like, and obviously I have the most important things in the world to me, which is my children and my family, and that's all that I need. And that's where I'm at now. I think I needed to get to that point before coming out and saying anything, because I need to have everything that I need before I
Yeah. You need this.
make sure this is because just want to clear the air and say my side of things without any like expectations or,
Or ukulele.
or ukulele.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, overall, it is just such a mess. I feel like she has shown more empathy towards herself than any other victim in this. I say other, she's not a victim, but any victim in this situation. Like, I feel like the most emotional, real part of this was speaking about her own emotions, and I don't think that's a good sign when this is meant to be a YouTuber apology, supposedly at first.
Can I say that word?
You can say that word.
Thank you so much, Colleen, for coming and bearing your soul.
Okay, well, I guess that's that. And yeah, it is unbelievably worse than I thought. I don't know why I didn't watch the last 20 or 25 minutes. I guess I just thought it was going to be more about her personal feelings. I didn't think it was going to just be her deflecting even more to more of an insane extent. Getting to a conversation of spirituality and almost like earthly tethers is just genuinely insanity. It's genuine insanity. I don't know what I expected, but it was not that. And overall, yes, this response is one of the worst responses I think I've ever seen. And to top it off with the crying at the end there, forcing out tears, it's just unbelievable. And I don't know if Colleen ever has a way of getting back. No, she doesn't. I'm not going to lie. She has no way of getting back to where she ever was on YouTube. Because just look at the response to this. Asking her if she forgives herself before she's probably apologized to her victims is crazy work. Yeah, it's insane. This discussion really shows you how extremely filtered Colleen's comments are. Again, we saw that earlier when we went through her comments. Not bringing up the Trisha situation is crazy. I love how the original title was Colleen's actual apology, and then looked back at it, realized she never apologized until asked to do so, and then changed the title to Colleen telling her side of the story is diabolical. An underage man. I don't know if that was said. I'm going to do a search here. I can't remember underage man being said. I think they're misconstruing it to an underage fan. It wasn't an underage man, and I think I should just clear up on that. Underage, were they underage? Underage fan, underage people, underage at the time, yeah. And as you saw, she knew that they were underage. This is like the big thing here. We've heard all these tears, we've heard everything, but at the end of the day, this is where the tears.
Did you
are coming
know they
from.
were underage at the time?
I knew that there were teenagers in the chat. Yeah, I did know that. And
that's where we're at. That's the reality of the situation. She knew what she was doing. She probably knew that it was wrong, and she spent an hour lying to us and trying to make things seem a lot more relatable, when overall, to kind of conclude everything, this is just a horrible, horrible situation, and I truly feel bad for the victims in this situation. I really do. Colleen, for the first few years of this situation and scandal, did everything she could to swipe everything under the carpet, like we've seen in my original video that we went through briefly, and like we've seen in her original response video. She allowed Adam to just get basically cooked by the entire internet, by all of her fans for years now. Now, unfortunately, that's not happening anymore, but it did happen for a very long time, and that will lead to trauma. So to hear her speak about her own trauma in the situation is almost ironic. I know it sounds mean, but it really is ironic. And to hear her apologize to herself before she gives an actual real apology to anyone is insane. But the worst part of it is when she basically said she's glad that people spoke up, because what we've seen in this, she's not glad. She doesn't care. And overall, I don't think she's sorry, in my opinion. And with that, yeah, I'll end the video there, because if I don't, I'll just keep on repeating myself, which I know I've done throughout this thing. It's very unscripted, and I'm sorry for that. If you want me to do more videos like this now and again, the next video is probably definitely going to be a scripted one. I have 2 pre-recorded, scripted, researched videos. But when I'm away in Japan, I probably will do a few more videos like this, maybe. Depends on how thin the walls are in my hotel and Airbnb. But yeah, thanks for watching this, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Genuinely interested to hear what you guys think about this. And yeah, have a great weekend. Peace out. Love you very much. Bye-bye.